meeting is being recorded.
It hasn't done that the past couple of days.
Wow.
All right. I thought that they stopped the silly voice that told us what was going on, but here we are.
I want to make sure you understand you're being recorded, right?
Yes, I just assume I'm always being recorded, right?
You should. We should. You never know.
Oh, absolutely. So welcome to anyone who is watching. We are doing a wonderful series of interviews the last couple of days, yesterday and today, in celebration of the launch of our book, Unleashing Your Soul Level Magic, which features 12 authors telling stories about how they've overcome a challenge with a gift that's deep inside of them. And I have thoroughly enjoyed not only the interviews, but also the stories, of course, because everyone who's sharing told something that, I knew these women to begin with, and they told stories that I didn't even know, like the crux of the story, or, I knew little pieces, but there was this whole other thing that got revealed. So it was really cool to read these stories and get to know everyone better. I'm Corey Walmsley, in case I didn't introduce myself. I'm CEO of Aurora Coriolis Publishing, and I was lucky enough to get to coach and publish this book. So welcome to everyone, and welcome to our author, Kim Adley. She is joining us right now to talk about her story.
Top of the morning to you, lassie.
Yes, and it is St. Patrick's Day. I've got on
It is St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who's watching. And it's wonderful to be here with you this morning, Corey.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. So I'm going to let you tell everyone a little bit about you and what you do, and then we're going to dive into the story.
Okay, well, I wear many hats. I'm an entrepreneur in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I've had a 27-year business, which is professional storytelling business called Characters by Kim. And I'm a former school teacher. And in the last 8 years, my second business, which has become my true passion, is a tour company in Pittsburgh called Passport to Pittsburgh. And I design custom day trips, overnights, outings for not only Pittsburghers to rediscover their own city, which is changing continuously, but also receptive work for people who are visiting Pittsburgh, which has become a major part of my business now, because Pittsburgh's a hot tourist city right now. It's just named #1 livable city once again by a couple different sources. So we have lots of tourism. So I do a lot of that work as well. And it's just wonderful work. I enjoy it so very much. Dealing with people and giving information and helping people have fun. So I have called myself a purveyor of fun, is a lot of the work that I do, Corey.
That is, I can speak from experience. That is absolutely what Kim does. So definitely purveyor of fun. I think we connected years ago because you were a storyteller and we were working on some different pieces together. And of course, yes. I'm a storyteller too. And that's one of the things I've always appreciated about you, is how well you tell a story.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I believe that storytelling is one of the most important art forms that we have, and especially the oral tradition of storytelling, which, is losing some of its importance in our technology world. But there's nothing that replaces the person telling you the story face to face. And I find in my work with children that it's a really needed missing piece in their lives, because they're inundated with technology. And, so yes, storytelling, the art of storytelling is something I take very seriously. And if I could have made a living at it, I would have, but it's kind of been a little side business for me for a long time, but it's had a long and memorable career. 27 years I've been storytelling in Pittsburgh. And my hashtag when I post pictures from some of the events that I do is, it's good work. it's good work. It just gives nothing but good vibes back, and the kids unconditional love, and there's nothing like a well-told tale. So I was happy, and that was part of why you invited me to do the book. It was part of the storytelling as well that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
did I meet your girls? How did I meet? I think I met you when your girls were little. Did you bring them to see me telling stories?
I believe so. I think we took them to see Mrs. Claus. And that's
I
been
believe
my
so
like,
too.
I know Mrs. Claus, so you might not want to do what you're doing right now.
That is one of the most gratifying characters that I do is Mrs. Claus. She only works about 6 weeks a year, but I take it so very seriously that the fragile time of children's imagination is so small and so delicate, and it's so precious. We have to nurture that, so the kids are looking at you and believing in everything magical about Christmas, and that's precious.
Mm.
So I take it very seriously.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
really important, not only to do that, but to also, as we're telling other stories, stories about ourselves too, but to also build around that story and let people share in our story. And I love that that's what you were able to do in Unleashing is share a little bit more of you because you do play so many characters that sometimes
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh, that's Mrs. Claus." It's like, oh wait, no, that's Kim. She's got a story too. Can you tell us a little bit about what you shared in the book?
Well, it's funny you brought that up. Actually, I tell stories in character for a lot of different things, but writing this story, which was for the Unleashing Your Soul Level Magic anthology, was one of the most difficult stories I've ever written or shared because it was so personal, and it peeled back so many layers that I have created, all of the personas for the storytelling, the company owner now, the teacher, all of that. But underneath of that, in order to tell this story, I had to really show the raw, authentic origins of myself.
Mm.
And it was hard. And you were awesome in help coaching me through that, getting me through, and um, you know, encouraging me to keep writing the because I was stuck a couple of times, and really but I'm glad that I did. It was quite cathartic and helpful to myself to put it on paper and to express it and share it with others. Hopefully, my hope is that it will in touch chord with other women who may be experiencing um, a similar situation or feelings in their life of traditional stereotyped conformity, and have this deep yearning to tap into their potential that has been put on the back burner for
Mm.
what we do: raise families, keep a house, and then be able to step out and bravely tap into that. So that was really mostly the motivation to tell my story. And I hope I did it well, and I hope it does inspire people when they read it and strike a familiar chord, and hopefully motivate someone to say, yeah, I could choose something like that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love that. And I think, it is very common for us to, especially as women who are going, okay, it's my responsibility to raise my family. Like, it's not that even today, I don't feel like it's as much a societal pressure for it to be all on us, but we're just wired that way, you know?
yes, it's thankfully I believe it is changing. I see it in even my son's wives, and they don't have this traditional roles that they play in their marriage, in their home. And but I came from a generation, and there's a whole bunch of people out there similar who you did this and this, and we had expectation roles and things that you did, um, and so I hope it reaches those people. There's still people today who follow that same path, but think it's changing, and I'm so grateful for that, for the young women now in the new generations. But for me, it was all about doing the right thing, and
Mm.
I do touch upon that in the chapter as well.
Yeah. And, because we are doing the right thing, or, feeling that like, oh, I've got to put everything aside to do, to take care of my kids. I feel like a lot of people do push aside our dreams. And, because we teased a little bit about the tea house when we were first starting the book, I was wondering if you could share just a little bit about what the tea house, the tea house story.
Well, sure. I had always, when people read it, they'll see that I followed a traditional path, got married out of college, did work as a teacher, but then retired to stay home, raise my children. And I'm so proud of my two boys, and, don't have no regrets for that at all. Loved being home to be able to see all the things that they did and be participating in that. But, you know, um, I had a dream, and I think in the chapter I explained that I was oozing with creative potential
Mm.
that could not be contained in my home, on my dinner menus and my party planning. There was more, and I knew it, And so I had always wanted and dreamed of having a business, a tea house business, um, because I loved high tea, and I thought I could house my storytelling business there. I could have women's book clubs meet there, be a lovely event space. And so, as my children were leaving the nest, and my role as, like, having to be mom and all that was changing, I thought I needed something else in my life to give me some purpose. So I wanted to buy this little house, this tea house, and it was only $20,000. And in the scheme of things in life, we know that $20,000 is really not that much. But I don't want to give it all away because I want people to read it, but I pursued getting the tea house on my own and couldn't get the money because I had no credit, no value, said the banker to me. Um, and that was the spark. The tea house eventually sold to someone else. I didn't get the tea house. And that was a pivotal moment. And in the chapter, I explain how painful it was to lose that dream, and cried like someone had died. But it wasn't someone that had died, it was something that died in me, which was this dream for my potential to be used. So that also was a big turning point to pushing me in another direction, uh, to find my authenticity and to tap into my potential.
Yeah.
So, yes, the tea house. Um, Maybe someday, Corey, but I had amassed over 65 teacups, vintage teacups from all over the world. I also loved that. I was going to write a book about teacups and the stories that they told, and, the ladies that drank tea over them, and the stories from the teacups. But
Mm.
I gave them all away. Uh, I might have about 10 left, and it's not it's not important anymore, but it was, and it
Right.
moved me. It was a step that moved me to where I am now and where I believe I'm truly meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love the story. I know it's heartbreaking to
Yes.
lose that dream, but what it did for you is just amazing. And I'm going to go off on a total tangent here because um, while you're talking about the teacups and the stories, even if you had just one teacup and followed it through its life,
Life.
I think that would be so amazing. Talking about the first person who purchased that teacup and how that got
Yes.
passed to her granddaughter and how that person used it and then it got sold to, like it would just be such an interesting story. So
Corey, it's our new novel. It's a new novel.
yeah, we'll
Okay,
have to
keep
do
me
that
on
together.
it, girl. Keep me on it. The story of the teacup trail. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But yeah, I would look at those. I'd buy them in antique shops, and they were like vintage, English bone china. Oh, a teacup that was produced in Germany during the war, 1942 or whatever. And I would just think, oh my gosh, these teacups were held by so many different people and had stories to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's interesting how like one little thing can just spark all of that. It's
Yes.
so
Yes. It was the catalyst. It was the catalyst. And as heartbreaking as it was, it was a necessary step
yeah,
in the journey.
yeah. And it got you to where you are today. And I think
Yes,
that, sometimes we do have to be kind of torn down to build back up.
you do. I believe we can't move forward without loss. We can't appreciate success without pain. There unfortunately has to be that balance for us to find our successes. There has to be losses.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
is truly my story. And also, I believe it's a story of great bravery. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but when I
It
look
is.
back and I think, it leaving a very secure, stereotypical upper middle class life and walking out into murky darkness
Mm,
and starting over for myself, that was really hard and scary. And it, in looking back now, it took a lot of bravery and determination. And I those first couple years were not easy, but so glad that I went through it and experienced all of that, developing my own credit, purchasing my first car and house for the first time. Like people would go, "What?" At age 52.
yeah,
And so I hope that also inspires readers that it's never too late. It's never, don't ever say you're past your, I heard it on the Academy Awards. Don't ever let anyone tell you you're past your prime. I
mm,
started my very successful tour business at age 52 after this, this life-changing loss and
mm,
then unleashing the soul level magic. So that's, I think, another area where I hope that my story touches people, that it's never too late.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that that's a message in this story because I do think a lot of times we get to a point where like, oh, I missed the bus. How am I going to do this? So I
Yeah,
wanted to ask you with heart.
you also get stuck in a pattern of complacency. You're living a patterned life, and you're in a routine, and it's all good. And there's a level of, I felt I had become complacent. And how did I let myself, my inner deep soul self, get diluted, get
Mm,
pushed on the back burner, get devalued?
mm,
um, and so we don't have to do that. I think nowadays women can have this balance where they can do it all, you know and especially if you have the support in your home to be able to do that, you can do it all. But so yes, that's also part of my story as well.
yeah, I love that. So I am going to ask you a hard question because I know you can handle it.
Okay.
Okay. So if you had read a story like this, maybe when you were in your 20s, your 30s, something like that, before you hit that point, how do you think that would have impacted you?
Well, when you're in your 20s, you kind of think that you know everything, don't you? And you're driven by different things in your 20s. Um, I'm not so sure I would have listened then. I hate to say that, but mm, I hope that maybe I would have taken some of that to heart. And maybe some younger women will read it also, I hope, and they will make mental note of it as well, to hold on to your value no matter what, and find a way to do that. And so I don't know that I would have listened in my 20s, Corey. I was very headstrong in my 20s, quite impulsive, and
Yeah.
quite you know, going to do what I wanted to do. And it was sort of the way I kind of got into, being an impulsive person, and then finding balance with someone who was not. Uh, so, yeah, that is a hard question, but I have to be honest. I don't think I would have listened.
Yeah. I think I don't know that I would have listened either, but I
You
think
know how the 20s are. You think you know everything, right? Yeah, it's funny how much smarter we get as we age, isn't it?
I mean, I'm still in my 20s, so
That's right. That's right. You're,
but I think that a story like this drops into our laps at the right time too, when we most need to hear it. So I think there's that, you know, when's it coming? It's at the right time. So
yes.
it came when we needed to hear it.
Good. I'm glad. Wonderful.
I loved your story and I loved talking to you today. And I wanted to kind of wrap up with kind of the big picture. What is it that you want people to take away from your story?
I want people to take away from my story that just to hopefully I will inspire people to see that it's never too late, and that through bravery and determination, you can find your authenticity, and that true soul level magic is being your authentic self.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Um,
you so much. I have to thank you so much. You've brought together 12 amazing women who I feel very honored and blessed to be a part of this anthology. And I want to thank you for doing that, Corey. When you put the idea out there, unleashing your soul level magic, just those words spoke to me, and 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 said I needed to be part of that. I think you remember when I reached out to you. So I want to thank you too for being the glue, the catalyst, and the inspiration for all of us 12 to be able to share our stories as well.
well, you are so welcome. I'm very honored to have been able to put this together. And I love the camaraderie that happens through these kind of books because
Yeah,
everybody's getting to know each other through their stories and just our little connections and our couple meetings that we had. And I just think that it's a beautiful way to bond with people and to get to know them more deeply.
it
So,
is. And just have just loved connecting with all the ladies and hearing their stories as well. Each one so unique and different, and also so inspiring, each in their own way.
yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
So I did want to mention unleashing your soul level magic is number one new release, which we're very excited about, and we are still running our sale today just to celebrate that. So if you want a copy
Yay!
for 99 cents, head over to Amazon and grab a copy today. I will have the link in the comments. And Kim, thank you for joining us. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, you can find my tour company at www.passport to Pittsburgh. And my storytelling business is called Characters by Kim at www.charactersbykim.net. And I got a lot of, please like me on Facebook. And I like to post lots of things about Pittsburgh and will keep my finger on the pulse of Pittsburgh for lots of my followers. So, yes, please reach out. I'd be happy to talk to anyone who reads my chapter and wants to hear more. Happy to do that.
Wonderful. So thank you for joining us. If you've been watching, you have comments, questions, ask us below. We'll put the link. And Kim, if you can put your links below too, so people can connect.
Absolutely.
And have a wonderful day.